Hi angels, welcome back to my channel. It's Jazzy. I am going to make a quick video, well it's probably not going to be so quick, about how, basically about workplace abuse. So basically I'm going to talk about what happened, how I dealt with it at the time, and how I wish I would have dealt with it now that I'm older and I know a bit more. In my entire lifetime, I'm 25 years old. I started working when I was 15. So in 10 years, I've had about 10, 11 jobs. That's about a job a year, but not so much how they all worked out. Some kept longer, some were shorter, it doesn't matter. I had a lot of jobs in my lifetime. And one thing I've had to deal with in those jobs is workplace abuse. Now, in my entire career of jobs, I have dealt with verbal abuse, I have dealt with sexual harassment / sexual abuse. It depends on how you look at it. And then I have also dealt with mental abuse. So all of these things have made me stronger as a person, but if I had known now known then what I know now, sorry, tongue-tied. If I had known then what I know now, then I probably would not have handled it the same exact way. So anyway, without further ado, so I'm gonna narrow this down to 4 different jobs where I had the most experiences with this, clear, concise experiences I can remember. So we're gonna do youngest to oldest. So the very first job I ever had. So we're gonna narrow this down to 4 different jobs, and we are going to start with mental and verbal, and then we're gonna end with sexual-ish abuse / sexual harassment and how I dealt with it and all those other things. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is mental and verbal. The very first time I experienced this, I was waitressing for a small restaurant in my college town, and my boss, there was really no HR, so, and I really, at the time I really needed the money. So my boss, he was just very old school, very old fashioned. When I started working there, he had hired his very first ever male server. He didn't believe servers were male, he didn't believe bartenders were women. Very old fashioned man. And I got a lot of ridicule all the time. I was picked on a lot. I had to wear leggings. I couldn't wear shorts because I'm curvier, and I thought that wasn't fair because my shorts were of normal short length, they were 3 inches above the knee, and I felt like I should be able to wear those. But then there were girls who were skinnier and they wore short shorts, no problems. So I mean, my leggings were always too tight. It was just always issues. And this, at a certain point, my body is my body, and I can't control how other people react to my body at a point. If I attempt to dress modestly, that's neither here nor there. But that's just part of the just always just getting picked on, always verbal abuse. This boss just not like me. He would yell. He has made me and other people that had worked there cry multiple times. And my dad is not a very empathetic person. He is a very loud man. He's very vocal. And so I'm used to a man that has a very loud and powerful voice. So it's not I'm not used to that. But I didn't always being treated like I was garbage. And that's how I was there. And then I had started working for a electronic company, and I had started working there when I was about 21. I was either 21, 22 years old. I was a lot younger, and so it has to be 21. And I just turned 21, and I was working there, and it was a great time. I had a really close friend whom is the mother of my beautiful goddaughter. Love her. So at that time, I was doing really well. I loved my job so much. I had a good time. I had friends. I had a great boss. I was making good money. I had as many hours as I wanted. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. But then I wanted to go back to school, and I had a boyfriend that I missed terribly, and that's a whole nother situation. But I wanted to go back to school. So I went and transferred to the same company, but in my college town. Now, that was the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. We had a GM, and she was probably the worst woman I've ever met in my life. I left most days of work crying. I would dread coming to work because I knew she was probably going to be there. She did not believe in me as a person at all. She was not a leader. She was like more of a dictator. Like she was very nasty to me behind closed doors. She was nasty to me in front of customers. I've had customers complain to corporate about her. Hey, probably why she's no longer working there anymore. I suffer from depression and anxiety, so I just feel like there's just a certain way you have to deal with me as a person. I apologize for that. I have no control over that. That's just who I am, and that's how I am. And unfortunately, she didn't know how to do that. She did not know how to deal with me as a person. She was so nasty and just inconsiderate about how I felt, and my depression, anxiety were so bad that I wasn't eating and I wasn't sleeping. I was barely bathing. My apartment was a mess. I was crying all the time. I didn't want to be around people. Like, I was just miserable all the time, but I had to work because I had to pay bills because I was in school. It was just a horrible experience, guys. It was a horrible experience. And the way I dealt with that was I didn't know how to get out of it, because my dad has always drilled into me that quitters, you're never going to quit a job. Do not quit jobs. Like, that's how you can tough it out. Don't quit. So I knew in the back of my mind every time I tried to quit that it was going to be in the back of my mind. And so I tried to get fired. So I did everything possible, I felt like, to get fired. I was a horrible employee. I just stopped working. I just didn't care. And it didn't do anything. So then I got the opportunity to go to a different store, and I was amazing there. I sold a ton both days I was there. I made new friends there, some I'm still friends with on Snapchat and Facebook. I had a great time there. The manager there, I almost said her name, the manager there, like, we'll call her Joy. Joy loves me at that other store. She wanted to hire me immediately, and just was a great vibe. Like, it was amazing. I was like, what? You're the manager here? I'd much rather work for you. The only problem was it was too far. But that would have been the perfect job. And then the lady at my store, my manager, she came up to me and she was like, what changed, honey? How did you do so well at that other store? And all I could look at her was like, I didn't get yelled at 24/7. I didn't get dirty looks 24/7. I didn't get attacked 24/7. You give me dirty looks when I talk to a customer, lady. I can't ever do my job because you're micromanaging it. That's why I don't do well at your store. Because I did well at the store before you, and I did well at the store I went to. So maybe the common denominator here is you're the problem. But that's neither here nor there. So, and I tried to get fired, and I couldn't get fired. So I basically went off to try to find another job. So I toughed that job out for another 3 months, and I finally got another job. When I finally got that other job, I finally just quit. And they looked at me like, you're quitting? And I was just like, yeah, because I knew they weren't going to fire me. And honestly, guys, I cannot. Like, I physically, like, cannot. Like, if I could go back and tell myself that it's okay to quit that job, that no one has to deal with mental and verbal abuse, like, you're okay, you're not the problem here, you are a great person, and you should love you and do what's best for you, I would. Honestly, I would take a time machine today to tell myself that, because that still stings to this day. Like, someone that I feel like is supposed to support me just didn't. And now she's no longer working there, and the store has a new manager, and he is a phenomenal guy. He's super great. Honestly, I feel like he should have been managing it the whole time. And I'm proud of him. I actually went and told him that. I'm like, man, you're doing a great job. Everybody seems so happy. Like, I'm so proud of you. So, let me know if any of you guys have ever experienced this. Let me know if any of you guys are currently experiencing this. If you guys have any questions about my experience, I'm open to all of it. So let's go to part 2. That was part 4. Part 2. So part 2 is going to be talking about the sexual abuse slash sexual like assault slash just like sexual harassment. Like, in all honesty, I feel like they all kind of go under the same umbrella. So oh, side note, I tried to film this video a couple days ago, but I got like way too emotional, so like I've had to do this like 3 times. So this is the 3rd time, so I'm sorry. Like, it's a lot of stuff is like really hard for me to talk about because it was so, some of it's fresh, some of it's not. It's just hard to know that you went through some of this stuff. So about the sexual abuse, it will start the first job. So my sister and I have a twin. You can probably see her in some of my twins videos. We both had just left college for separate reasons, both horrible reasons. Not for us to leave, but for us to even stay in school. Like, we had to leave school. So just know, everybody's journey is different. When we left school, we were both, well, I had a job. I worked at Brookfield Zoo. What? Brookfield Zoo. If you're ever in the Chicago area, come check it out. And my sister didn't have a job. So my family friend got us a job in security. He was like an uncle to us. He got us a job in security. It was great. So we had to get licensed. We got licensed. We got the job. We were 18 years old, 19 years old. And all of the people there were super grown. So they were all like 28, 40, 35. To a 19-year-old, that's super grown. There was maybe a guy that was like 25, maybe. That was the closest to our age. And they would harass us a lot. They would leave their post to bother us when we were trying to do our work. They wouldn't leave us alone. They kept trying to offer us rides home, offer to talk, to give us their number. They kept trying to like sneak and touch us. I had my manager at the time, I had a badge around my neck, and he like grabbed it, and I was like leaning towards him, and he could see like all down my top. And at that time, I didn't realize that that's what he was doing, but the lady sitting next to me, she was like, yo, stop. And a lot of the women became kind of maternal figures for us because they kept trying to or older sisters, because they kept trying to stop it from happening because they saw it too. It was just completely inappropriate. We dreaded going to work every time. I mean, it was wide open too. We were working as security at Millennium Park. So if anyone who's ever been to Chicago, if you've ever seen The Bean, the Cloud Gate, that's where we worked. That's what we were doing. Security there. Wide and open, but a lot of times we weren't doing it during the day. We were overnight security. So a lot of people could get away with doing that kind of stuff to us. And it was horrible because they figured, oh, they're just like a couple of 19-year-old girls. Like, who are they going to tell? So it honestly got so bad that I told my parents I wanted to quit. And so did my sister. And they were like, no, why are you trying to quit? Like, you get good money here. Like, what is the problem? And we didn't want to, at that time, we didn't want to tell them what was the problem. We didn't know how to tell them. So we were like, oh, it's fine, whatever. We'll just stick it out. We'll just stick it out. So that was a horrible mistake. We should have just quit. It got so bad. And we were just like, we could tough it out for the rest of the summer. We could tough it out for the rest of the summer. And it got to the point where they could see that we were uncomfortable. Like, we just didn't want to come to work anymore. So we kind of got fired. We didn't really get fired. We kind of got fired. So, basically, the way I would have dealt with that situation back then was I would have just freaking told my parents that these guys were being sexually inappropriate with me. I would have just told them. I wish I had told them. I honestly feel like if I had told them that, they would have just quit the job. I actually told my mother a couple years later, like 3 or 4 years later, and she was pissed I didn't tell her then. She's like, are you serious? No. Yeah, my mom is super mama bear, so she was pissed. But I didn't, and it happened. And it was horrible. So yeah, and the second time it happened was not too long ago. I was probably like 24, so like a year ago. I was working for a cell phone company. I left the electronics company to work for the cell phone company, and I was working for this cell phone company, and I was making pretty okay money, and I was working with 2 guys and a girl. So it was like a guy, a girl, and then our manager. And the girl's part-time, me and the guy were full-time, and then our manager. And the girl, she was really great, and my manager like hated this girl. All he did was talk nasty about this girl. He degraded her body and everything, and I liked her. There's nothing wrong with her. We're still friends on Snapchat to this day. She's a wonderful girl, and we're still friends on Facebook as well. And he just was nasty, guys. He was nasty to her, like freaking disgusting to her. And I just was like, but why? You're her manager. You don't have the right to have that type of opinion about someone, especially not based off their work ethic at all. It was horrible. So he was lazy too, just as a side note. And the guy, he would speak really inappropriately about women that came into the store. He would speak really inappropriately about me. Guys, I wore like a freaking t-shirt and some jeans. Okay, what was there to show? Just throwing that out there. I wore a long sleeve t-shirt and jeans. He just would speak really inappropriate to me about me. He'd speak really inappropriate to other females that came in there, to the point where they creeped them out. Like the females would want to leave if one of the girls was not working because they were creeps. The manager was the worst. He would rub my legs. He would rub my arms. In front of customers, guys. In front of customers. He would put his arms around my waist. In front of customers. He would tell me all the things he would do to me sexually. He would ask me out about 30 times a shift. And at that time frame, I really needed that job. I just left an abusive situation to come to another one. And I really needed that job. And the company that I was working for, great company, they offer so much to their employees, but I could not, guys. And it was such a small like portion that I would have had to like call HR and report it and all this other stuff. And at that time, I really needed a job, and I thought, if I call and report this, I'm not gonna have a job anymore. So at that point, I had it, and my fight or flight kicked in. You know about that, fight or flight. And I packed up everything I owned, and I moved in with my parents. Moved back to Chicago. I said, screw everything. I don't need this anymore. I need my mental health first. And I'm so glad I did that. It was the best decision I ever made, because now my job today is great. But when I tell you guys that was just awful. Just a horrible, 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 horrible experience. I was depressed. I felt ugly. I felt disgusting all the time. I felt just violated, like, all the time. And the manager still asks me out. He still messages me in my DMs. He is blocked on a lot of things. He finds ways around. And honestly, if I could go back, I mean, I feel like I did handle it the way I would want to handle it, is by quitting the job. But what I really feel like I should have done is I should have reported them. I should have reported them. I should not have been okay with being treated that way, because what was going to happen to the next girl that works there? Now, that manager doesn't work there anymore, but he shouldn't have worked there as long as he did with that type of attitude. But I was scared. I was like, oh, he's, you know, I didn't know with this guy. He seemed crazy, honestly. So I should have reported. Share your stories with me. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear how you handled them. If you have any questions about my experiences or anything like that, please let me know. No, I'm not going to disclose the companies, so please don't ask me that. Because it's not the company's fault that they have shitty people. Where one is report. Always report, 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 report. If it's possible to report, always report. It's not your fault that what is happening to you is happening to you. And those options to report are there to protect you. So you're not going to get fired if you report. They're going to get fired. That's their fault. They know that what they're doing is wrong. Number 2 would be speak up. So tell someone, tell a friend, tell your parent, tell someone that this is happening to you. I was so young, I didn't feel like I could tell anyone. Tell someone. And the third thing is leave the situation. If you feel like you can't do either of the first 2 things, then just leave the situation. Just quit the job and go on to the next one. There are a million jobs out here, regardless of what anyone says. There are a ton of jobs out here. I've had so many jobs. I still keep getting jobs. There's a lot of jobs out here. They may not always be the job in that field that you want, with that pay that you want, but there's a job to tie you over till you find the job you actually want. But there's no reason ever to stay in that type of situation if you're not comfortable. Just don't do it. So anyway, thank you for watching my video. Hopefully this helps somebody. Hopefully hopefully not, there aren't other people out there that have experienced this, but if you have, let me know. You're not alone. I'm sure there are more. And I was looking at YouTube, there's not a lot of videos from people, young people, that have experienced this. It's all older people, and this needs to be talked about, because this is a problem. We're young and people think they can take advantage, and that is not okay. It's never okay for people to take advantage of us because we're young. Not okay. So, yep. So don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and yeah. Let me know if you like this video. Bye.